Morning of the 54th day.
Really tough week.
Only another 2,000 odd miles to go.
My name's Jarvis, and this is a story about how I became the first person in history to row from mainland Europe to mainland North America.
Just before 8 o'clock, day 54.
So the journey for the row starts probably back in 2020 at the start in February. And that's where I came up with the initial idea, and that led me on a 2-year, 18-month planning preparation phase. And I had to raise over £85,000 for the row to buy the boat, fill it with food, safety equipment, life raft, and all these things. There's a saying in ocean rowing that the hardest part of rowing an ocean is getting to the start line. And I certainly found that out. Took my boat, got on the ferry to the north of Spain, Bilbao, and that started my journey. And then from Bilbao, drove down to Portugal. And then it was really game time that week of December 2021. The first challenge that arose, I set out with a goal to be the first person to row from mainland Europe to mainland North America. But 4 days before I was due to set off, I found out that there was a Spanish guy who was leaving from Vilamora, so just down the coast in Portugal, and was aiming to do the same thing as me. So instantly we'd gone from a relaxed kind of feel to really high tempo and a lot of added pressure that I had on my plate at that time. As you leave the marina, it is a feeling of relief. All the planning is done and it is now game on. And that first four-hour shift, all these emotions running through your mind, and it's quite a happy time. But however, that quickly wanes, and that first 5 days is one of the toughest. Your body is really a baptism by fire and adapting on the job. Your hands are sore, they've yet to callus up. Your arse is chafed from sitting on the seat, rowing seat for 15 hours a day. And then you're getting used to that isolationism. And as a solo rower, it really does hit you hard. So at this point, you know, you're really facing that enormity of the challenge that lays ahead. I thought it was only going to take me 90 days. Ended up taking me 111, and maybe that was overconfidence to come in and do 50 miles a day every day. But that certainly wasn't the case. Mother Nature had other plans. So with the first 5 days done, I'm starting to get into the swing of things. And then I was some inclement weather, so the wind was too strong to row against, so I had to go onto parachute anchor. Now the parachute anchor is a parachute that sinks below the surface, and instead of using air to slow you down if you were in the sky, it uses the seawater. People think, oh, parachute anchor, it must be nice to have a rest. I'd been rowing 20 days at this point, but it's really not. You're stuck in a cabin that has to remain shut. The cabin starts to build with mold, and it's a really damp, dark, horrible, dingy place. I can imagine the only thing I can compare it to is being in solitary confinement in prison. And I used to have a nickname for it, para-prison. And that is when I realised this wasn't going to be as easy as I'd thought.
A little bit irritated this morning. Ooh. Yeah, it's the 26th today. Good morning, day 59. Little update from the cabin.
Bathroom. So here we've got the shower.
Your mind will play tricks on you, and you'll start to think, right, if I don't get out of parachute anchor soon, I'm going to need to do 70 miles a day to make up for these four days where I've done absolutely no miles. And you really have to dig deep and try and put that to the back of your mind, because there's nothing you can do. You can't outmuscle the wind, Mother Nature. So in those really dark moments, and you're questioning why you're doing this, because don't forget, I volunteered to do this. No one put me there. No one held a gun to my head and said I had to do it. I thought about all my incredible sponsors that had put a lot of, belief in me. My friends, didn't want to let them down either. All the members of the 250 Club, and all the people that had donated as well. I was raising money for my granddad, who suffered from a brain tumour. It's only when something like that happens to your family you realise that it only receives 1% of national cancer funding, yet it is responsible for more deaths of people under the age of 40 than any other cancer. So we really need to be doing more development and more research, and hopefully it won't affect other families as much as it affected mine. Now, I used to put myself in his shoes and think, if he can battle a brain tumour for 2 years, sure, I can battle this stint on parachute anchor for 4 days. Used to make me think, Jack, you can do this. If your granddad can battle that, this should be easy.
And now I am slap bang in the middle of the ocean.
So I'm out of Nando's Peronaise, brown sauce, they're both gone.
as I'm starting to get into it, I remember crossing the Canaries. I got a phone call from a best mate, Codge. We raised about 12 grand at that point, and the road's really starting to build momentum. People are actually starting to believe in me, and I started to get a few celebrity shout outs. Bex gave me a shout out. You know, that's how close we are now. I mean, I can call him, but that was absolutely awesome. I had some incredible shout outs, and that keeps you going. It certainly puts a smile on your face. I had some great sponsors as well, and getting phone calls from them and saying how proud they were of me. Those tough days when you're doing maybe 20 miles, only 20 miles, and you work out if you were to do 20 miles every day, the whole crossing would take you 160 days. So those days doing 4 of them on the bounce, and that's where you have to use those multiple sources of motivation, whether it be celebrity shout outs or even just shout outs, phone calls from your sponsors.
20 to 7 on the 1st of February, and I've just rode past the halfway point. Buzzing. Get it up, yeah.
So we're over the halfway point, 60 days, and that period after that, things are looking good. You know, we're doing between low end 35, high end 60, 65 miles a day. Really into my routine now, feeling good, like a well-oiled machine. And I used to listen to McFadden, Ain't No Stopping Us Now, and that always used to put a bit of a smile on my face. However, again, that complacency can really do you a few dramas. Did about 40 miles, but in some big weather, I was absolutely drenched. For every minute I wasn't in the cabin, I was getting soaked by the waves. The next day, so I put the parachute anchor out at night to hopefully get some decent sleep. I woke up the next day, pitch black, 5 in the morning. Now I'm trying to reel this parachute anchor in, and the parachute anchoring has a retrieval line, and this should trip the anchor, trip the parachute. You should be able to pull it in with relative ease. This morning was very different. The boat is rocking violently from side to side, and I'm pinned up against the outdoor cabin with the parachute anchor retrieval line in 2 hands. The boat, and there is that much tension on the line, I have to wait for my boat to rock over. I can pull some in while it's slacked, and then I grip on for dear life while the boat tips and there's tension back on the line. Now in the darkness, the confusion, the spray of the ocean, I'd taken a turn around my right hand, and the parachute anchor basically went tight, line wrapped hard around my finger and crunched it to a sound I can only compare to when you break a Kit Kat. A few expletives come out of my mouth, I'm not going to lie. I ripped my hand from the rope, which ripped the nail off. So now there's blood all over the floor, and I've got a broken finger. I can barely make a fist or move my left hand. I'm starting to feel pretty sorry for myself. I'm back in the cabin now, and all I can think about is if I have to get rescued, this is 90 days that have gone to waste. The money I put into the boat would be gone, because if you're rescued at sea, they can't rescue your boat. So I was faced with a couple of options, and I had to frame my mindset to try not to worry. My finger was broken. There's nothing I was going to be able to do to fix that. I mean, I spoke to the medic, and he said, can I keep it dry and immobilise it and clean? And I remember thinking, are you taking the mate? I'm on a 7-metre ocean rowing boat. I'm not going to keep anything dry or immobilise it. I was sat in that cabin, and I could have felt sorry for myself. But again, I thought back to my granddad. I thought back to my sponsor. I thought back to my friends. Everyone was counting on me, and I didn't want to let them down. Something that people don't appreciate is rogue waves. Now, rogue waves are exactly what I say they are. They're just these random waves that come out of nowhere. Bang, big wave hits me on the beam, and it feels like I'm suspended in slow motion, when in reality this was probably over in a matter of seconds. The boat rocks violently to my right, chucking me off the seat, and I remember just thinking, I'm going over here. The boat slams back down, the oars are everywhere. I have to take a moment, and I'm thinking, holy shit, that was f***ing close. However, the gods decided to bless me not only by not capsizing, but by also suspending that Ferrero Rocher on the side of the boat. So I reached for it with both hands, frantically unwrapped it and devoured it in a matter of nanoseconds. And it's just sort of put a smile on my face, because that is ocean rowing in a nutshell. You can have moments of sheer despair, but they can quickly move to moments of sheer joy and pleasure.
And all the messages, and David Beckham, Gary Neville, Sir Steve Redgrave, Johnny Williams, Don Jolly, you know, Tom Kerridge, you know, that fills me with confidence, fills me with motivation. So yeah.
And today's a good day because I've got my coffee and a flapjack.
I cannot recommend it enough. It gave me everything I wanted. And I started the idea from the rover because I was too many days I'd gone to work and just thought, there's more to life than this. I'm just going through the motions. And it was that high threat testing environment that I really wanted to be 100% focused at all times, because I wanted to live. I was 100% confident, and I believed in myself that I was going to be successful. And ultimately, after 111 days at sea, I was.
Week 15,
day 105 update, and now we're into the last 5 days of the row, and people think this is a slam dunk. It's a home run. He's done the hard bit now. He's relatively safe in terms of rescue. There is a lot more boats. Land isn't that far away. For the large majority of the row, the closest people to you are in the International Space Station. Those last few days, a huge amount of pressure is starting to mount on me. My family are in America, so I'm against the clock now, and this really was highlighted in that last 36 hours. So it started at 5 in the morning on the penultimate day. I then realised that I would have to row continuously if I had any hope of beating the current. Every half an hour, I'd stop for literally 10 seconds, quick sip of water, then I'd have to start rowing again. Even after that effort, I was still 10 miles to the east of the West Palm Beach inlet, and this is when I got emotional. If Jack misses this inlet, he'll have to go 100 miles up the coast to Jacksonville. I would have had to have done that, because if I'd have taken a tow even 10 miles into land, that would have been my record null and void for a solo unsupported. And I was faced with two options. I could either sit in the cabin and cry and just admit defeat and give up, or I could get back on the yacht and at least be present, be accountable, and give it everything. Now, I'd rowed for 10, 8, so over 22 hours in total in that 24-hour period. You either do or you don't do, and I was going to do. There was nothing going to stop me. So I've made it in the inlet, and now I'm just faced with a nice, relaxing 2-mile row to land. And the feeling I was feeling then was euphoria and relief. All the challenge I'd faced, the potential capsize, the broken finger, the last 36 hours where I could have easily slammed into the coast. That fear of being a nearly man, of being a failure, had just gone. And the relief of setting out with a goal that had been 3 years in the planning and preparation was absolutely incredible. And to see all my friends and family and to be able to share that moment of success and happiness, joy, was absolutely incredible. When I let the flares off, absolutely incredible. It was awesome. Good question, Liam. It's been a year, so it's about time I got back in the arena. Like David Goggins says, you need to stay hard. I think a swim is maybe in order. Maybe a 24-hour swim off the coast of Bournemouth, raise some more money for charity, because I'd love to so I raised £70,000, and a massive shout out to everyone who donated. But yeah, I'd like to maybe get my grand total up to £100,000. I think that'd be absolutely incredible. So anyone that's thinking about doing a challenge or pushing themselves, just get it booked and do it. But don't be afraid of failure. That fear of failure will motivate you and keep you going through those dark moments. And the feeling of euphoria and victory at the end is 100% worth it.